You're listening to Following On with me, Neil Manthorp, along with former England fast bowler Steve Harmison. And if you have missed any of the show, you can download the podcast from the free talkSPORT app or wherever else you get your podcasts from. Right, as promised, at the top of the show, we're joined live by Johnny Grave, who's just completed his first season in charge of Major League Cricket with MI New York winning their second title in 3 years. Johnny, thanks so much for joining us. Have you completed your report card? What went well? What exceeded expectations, and what is to be improved upon? I mean, it seemed extremely good, um, an extremely successful season to Army and I, looking from a distance.
Yeah, look, I think we're still completing our tournament review, but I think in the sort of initial reaction was that we got the cricket right, and certainly this league from ball one, when it set itself up 2 years ago, was to get the cricket product right. And I think if you said to me, particularly the Oakland Coliseum project, which, as I said to you guys before the tournament, was ambitious and complicated, for us to just move those wickets at the last moment from New York to San Francisco to drop them in on a Sunday and have them playing on a Thursday in an opening game when Finn Allen got 150. And then for the next game to be a last ball finish, we couldn't have really asked for any more, particularly when the last match at Oakland Coliseum sides were still getting 200 plus. So we definitely got the cricket right and the pitches. And again, playing in sort of three established stadiums under lights made a lot of difference as well. So certainly progress, but a huge amount more to come, basically.
John, yeah, I watched that early part of that game, and you've seen the massive score and thinking, "Oh my word, this is going to be." I mean, this is going to be a graveyard for bowlers. They're not going to enjoy this. But then I watched the final, and I thought the final was a great contest. I mean, I still don't know how Glenn Maxwell hasn't won from where they were, but a lot of other content that was in that. So you see, you got the cricket right, which you did. But there was a lot of other stuff that was promoted well. I mean, Ponting was constantly in the dressing room talking. Is that what American sports get better than what other sports around the world do? Because there is a lot of in dressing room chat. There's a lot more focus on people being allowed into a dressing room, which I wasn't always a big fan of. But it just seems as though the minor little things, I think, enhance the tournament. Are the other things that you want to keep getting better and sending your message out? Because for me, it looked really, really good.
I certainly think we want to do things differently here, and we don't want to necessarily do what the rest of the world are doing. But we definitely want to keep most of the elements of T20 cricket alive. I still think we're a bit too long. We were over 3 hours, and I still think we've got a job to do to get T20 cricket to be, certainly in this market, a 7 p.m. till 10 p.m. game, and to try and speed up the pace of play. And we spent a bit of time with the umpires, and we bring over Simon Taufel to advise and help with that. But I think we've got some work to do on speeding up the game. And that's not just for the American market. I think that's a global issue that the game has to face. And then I think the best thing probably about the final, which I think sort of spoke volumes about the whole competition, was the domestic players. I mean, having a kid that was 22 years old from America bowling against, Glenn Phillips and Glenn Maxwell, who were in and set with just 12 runs on the board to defend, getting over the line and winning it for his team. I thought that was a great moment, and certainly resonated where I've been in the last few days in Singapore with the rest of the world, is the fact that America are going to get very, very good at this sport. We've got an under-19 team or two under-19 teams playing in the Caribbean now in their domestic tournament, and the US side has just gone unbeaten, beating Jamaica and Trinidad and Barbados and Ghana, etc. So there's a huge talent pool here, and I think we're going to see USA beating more and more of the bigger teams when they get the opportunity to play.
Johnny, obviously our regular listeners and viewers know that they can watch MLC on the talkSPORT Cricket YouTube channel, and so we'll be talking to you regularly. But if I could digress, I hope you don't mind, your many years as Cricket West Indies chief executive. Obviously, they've just been bowled out for 27. It was a pink ball day-night test in Jamaica. But there is talk once again of a two-division test cricket system. The ICC have just had their meeting. And although it hasn't been ratified, I understand that two divisions is now almost inevitable. And without being too dramatic about it, I mean, I have said that I think a Division 2 would be a polite name for an abattoir. I don't think that any of those countries will get out of Division Two. And of course, you'd have to have England, Australia, and India immune from relegation if you had promotion relegation. So, without giving away any inside information, how do you see things resolving themselves? And is Cricket West Indies going to lose Test status?
Well, I certainly hope not. I mean, we were very happy to coexist with Test matches happening in England against India and obviously the Australia series that was happening in the West Indies, and we just in Major League Cricket had the better white ball players from the West Indies and Australia playing in us. So when we're not looking to compete or take players away, whether the game, as you say, structures itself in such a way that players naturally leave is a second question. It's a shame, really, that the West Indies got skittled for 27, because whenever the West Indies do badly, everyone piles in and says they shouldn't be playing. But I remember not that long ago, England getting bowled out in Auckland for not too many, and India getting skittled for not a huge amount either. And that's fine. That's a one-off. And it takes away from the fact that West Indies have developed, I think, one of the most exciting young fast bowling attacks in world cricket, who have taken 60 wickets and not conceded many runs to Australia. The problem's been with the batting, which has been a problem that's plagued West Indies cricket for 50 years. I think Desmond Haynes is the last batter to come out of Barbados, averaging over 40. So there are huge sort of challenges that West Indies cricket face, but it's not immune to the rest of the world. And certainly I think two divisions will get some sort of added analysis over the next few months. I think the ICC haven't agreed anything, and they just set up a working group, which has probably just delayed those discussions till back end of the year. England and Australia and India have already established their fixture list till 2031, and we'll see, a huge amount of cricket played exclusively between those few countries. And then for the rest of the countries that can attract England and Australia in particular, then the rewards of having an England and Australia tour aren't there, to be honest. In the Caribbean, it was very difficult, and we saw it very recently with Bangladesh hosting England and not even being able to get a TV deal in the UK. The West Indies have always had sort of huge support from Sky Sports back in the day, and more recently TNT with big broadcast deals that have supported those tours. But even the one in Australia, they didn't get a deal with Channel 7 or Fox, the two big operators. They were on ESPN instead. So, the incentive for a West Indies to have an Australia tour, if there's no broadcast money to pay for it, the whole structure and fabric of bilateral cricket becomes very, very difficult for everyone outside the big three.
Johnny, you talk about money, and money makes the world go round in cricket. Is there anything that you think, even what you do with the sort of the MLC, that we could in world cricket make it an easier platform, a better platform for the world to succeed in? You've seen from a franchise point of view, and you've seen from an international point of view at the sort of one of the lower ends, because obviously about the big three, you worked for the PCA for 20 odd years and seen what happened within the England structure. Where's the landscape when it comes to the financial side of it? Because you've been across the board of all the facets of it. Is there a simple solution that we're not seeing, or is it, the big cats just get richer and dog eat dog world and everybody can just get on with the rest?
I don't know, Harmy. I think if you take a player lens, players will go where there's money, but increasingly towards the back end of the year, they'll go where there are good opportunities for them and their families, post-career. And I certainly think the US is a growing market. It's a place where people want to come and live and work. There are huge opportunities. And speaking to your old mate at length over the tournament, Liam Plunkett, he's really enjoyed relocating here. He's still involved in the game, and he's got a sustainable career probably till retirement and afterwards. So I think players will also start to choose lifestyle choices. How much, you're thinking about, 22, 23-year-old player now, once he's done 6 or 7 seasons of IPL, and got a war chest of 20 plus million, at what point will players continue just to want to maximize earnings and not necessarily make a balance in terms of their future careers or their family lifestyles? So I think ultimately the game is benefited, and I can say this wearing my old PCA hat. I think that, if you take the American market, most players would be getting at least 50% share of of revenue from tournaments. If you take the Premier League, it's up to 90%. Cricket's still probably, only really paying somewhere between 10 and 30% of earnings to players. So there's a huge amount of headroom for the game. And you've seen the disruption in golf with Live and other events. I think there is still the threat of the game that if the administrators don't manage it sensibly and take real leadership positions for the long term, then players will have choices, and whether that's private money or sovereign wealth money, I think the game is still ripe for disruption unless they can keep everyone together, and all the different stakeholder groups and all the different business models, all the different formats of the games, makes that very, very complicated.
And just finally from me, like Man has mentioned at the top, the report card. Is the report card, such a successful tournament? How do you build on it? Do you go, right, we can reach for the stars now, or is it little by little to get better? Talking about, because obviously that costs a lot more money. We heard, I think, last year, I think it was one of the franchise owners saying to us on this show, we're not bothered about how much money we lose in the first couple of years. We need to get it right. Well, it looks as though you're close to getting it right. What challenges have you got to take it to the next level?
Yeah, look, I think next year is going to be very much sort of a repeat again, but trying to shorten the games, getting closer to 3 hours, and still attract the best players in the world to play alongside the American players, who I think hopefully we'll see in the February T20 World Cup that they're actually improving rapidly, and that the beating a full member in Pakistan and getting to the Super 8s wasn't a one-off. It's actually a change and step change in the performances of Team USA. I also think that we've got the opportunity to get more people to watch, and that's probably the big focus for us, really. Much more marketing and promotion. You need to be very noisy and vocal here. We've got the added complication of coexisting with the FIFA World Cup in the US next summer. But I think, again, that provides opportunities where there'll be lots of sports fans in the US that won't be going to soccer every day, and therefore they can come to some cricket as well. So for next year, we really want to sort of build on the fan base and get more fans into the grounds. And we saw lots more fans attending for home matches. So when the Texas Super Kings were playing in Dallas and the San Francisco Unicorns in Oakland, we saw big crowds. So we need those other teams to develop their stadiums. And certainly by 2027, we're expanding to 8 teams. And we're also expecting at least 2 stadiums in addition to the ones that we've got. So 2027, I think we'll see big changes with the 2 teams and more grounds. 2026 hopefully will be very similar to this year, but a slightly shorter match time window, and we hope even more people and spectators enjoying Major League Cricket.
Johnny, the MLC really is one of cricket's good news stories. Everybody said it would take between 3 to 5 years before it really established itself. So I think it seems to have done that now. And congratulations to the work that you've done. Can I just finish on an esoteric one? It can be a very, very short answer if you like, but with India, England and Australia concentrating so much on fixtures between themselves and generating money for themselves and filling their own coffers, do you think it's possible that there could be a wake-up moment at some point in the future where they realize that the whole family needs to be looked after rather than just a couple of favorite siblings?
I certainly hope so, and I don't think that will be out of spite or anything. I think that'll just be the reality, where other boards just don't have the finances to continue, because Test cricket is expensive to host, but it's even more expensive to play, because you've got to have a foundation of first-class cricket, and that's really where a huge amount of the money underneath Test cricket gets spent on, in terms of getting under 17-year-olds and 19-year-olds to play red ball cricket, and that the equivalent of the county championship, the first class structure across all the other teams is a huge investment, and there's no point in making that investment unless you're going to get a return. And whilst people like me and Harmy and you would say, well, actually it's an investment in the ultimate cricketer, that if you want to produce the best bowler or the best all-rounder or batter, get them playing long form cricket as long as you can, and as young as you can, and then they'll turn into the best T20 player on the planet. And we're yet to see as a game the best T20 player in the world be produced by any structure without playing red ball cricket at any stage in their career. So look, I'm still positive that the game can thrive across the world, and all three sort of formats can coexist. But yeah, it's going to take some strong leadership and some good decisions by the ICC and those big full members in England, Australia, and India over the next few months as they build that calendar 27 to 31, because there are definitely some headwinds that they need to face.
Johnny Grave, Major League Cricket Chief Executive and longtime friend of this show and of talkSPORT. Thank you. Thanks for your time. I know you've been doing some hectic travelling, so try and get some sleep, and we'll talk to you soon.